we're being asked to drop our identities. This is huge. Like this is huge. Like that's the only way we're gonna get over this. We're being asked to really let go of anything external that we would like, even good stuff, things we were happy about, I was proud of myself to being, a woman or a man or a Palestinian, if we're not going to drop it, we're going to continue to play in a game that is really painful for humanity. So I think that's a good example because it's all about relationships, right? It's all about, us being there for each other, loving ourselves, loving each other, and being compassionate. And compassion is not towards someone, compassion is just, it's neutral. It has to be neutral. There's no way for this vibration to be choosing someone over the other. So it's a big one, but we're going to make it as humanity. That's what we're here for. So we're going to talk about this journey that we have as humanity. And I want you to keep in your head and in your heart that the aim of this journey is compassion, because a journey doesn't really have an aim, but we want to really be in a different situation, internally. That's the internal frequency that we're asking to feel. It's something that we'll keep in mind while we're having this conversation, that some of the information might not be easy to digest. I don't know, might or might not. So we'll start with easy stuff. We know that we're spiritual beings having a human experience, and we have this system, our ways, our system to navigate is emotions. These are our emotions. So through the emotions, this is our navigation system. We actually use our power. What do we choose with our power? So again, think about it, spiritual beings having human experience. So our vehicle is our body, our mind, our emotions is, whatever is, making choices for the avatar. So I'm calling my Dalit, that's my name, but it's just an avatar because I'm a spiritual being. So I'm just trying to be in good relationship with this avatar, being here on earth and having this identity and and emotions, emotions. That's not easy to have emotions. If it's good emotion, if it's positive, if it's uplifting, of course it's amazing, but unpleasant emotions, they're unpleasant. So this is the basic theme of, what we're, talking about here. So we start from the point of, we know that we're energy, we know that we're spiritual, and we're just now working with this avatar to use the power that the avatar has. The avatar is eating and sleeping, but also gets, through emotions, get energy from the field. And from that, we make a choice. So any experience that, we have outside is just reflecting our inner reality. We just talked about it. So now we're going to start talking about a little bit of, not a little bit, maybe, maybe more than that, depends on our emotional reaction or respond to that. But we're going to start talking about our situation as humanity, having, a reflection of our experience, okay? It's not personal. It's not if somebody is being taken hostage to Gaza is something that he did or she did, God forbid. These are people that are, really in the front of, suffering. When God bless, everyone that is, having any pain, inflicted on them. So, but we're talking as humanity, as this consciousness, we are being hostage. So what are we being hostage for is very important to understand, because right now there's a situation, outside that everybody is putting their eyes on and saying, oh, these people are, dying or, hostage or tortured, or, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of chaos going on, a lot of pain. But we need to understand the roots of that, and we'll just try to get to how did we get to a situation like that we are projecting from our own internal reality as humanity. Again, like that's the total of humanity. That's not saying to one person or the other, but most of us, because that's the result. The result is that we are in this limbo of trauma and post-trauma. Okay, I mean it's been like that for many years, hundreds of years, thousands of years. So when we start to argue with each other, it's because we are addicted. That's strange, huh? It's very strange to say that. What are we addicted to? Why are we arguing with each other when we say, oh, but do you know what happened, October 7? But do you know what happened, 48? But do you know what happened in the Holocaust? But do you know what happened? I mean, trauma, post-trauma, trauma, post-trauma. And we are just inflicting pain on each other. Why? We are addicted, surprisingly, to unpleasant emotions. Energy emotions are hitting our body, and they're like releasing this kind of like hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, and it's like it doesn't feel good, but for a lot of humanity it feels like they are alive. So this adrenaline is just being pumped into our bodies. Anger, rage, frustration, jealousy, all these unpleasant emotions. And yet, why do we feel them? It's because we're addicted to them. We've been there for so long, judging each other, judging ourselves, being in this situation where we're already used to that. We want to get our, like anyone who is addicted, like, oh, what happens, it's the weekend. That's the time I usually judge, my husband before, dinner, or, we're just getting used to these cycles and cycles of trauma, post-trauma, the little ones, the big ones. So that's the big problem that we have. So now we're going to talk about how come that we got to a situation like that. We are such intelligent beings. We are loving beings. We are hearts, actually. I mean, anyone, that had a baby know that there's first a heart and then there's a human being around it. So how come we got to this situation? It's because we were all born to a false matrix. So yes, we are a part of a huge field, of love. It's field of information that is just unconditional love. This is God. This is, you can call it whatever you want, the universe, or, you can be religious, you can be, non-religious, you can be at any, whatever words or terms you have to define it, but it's undefinable. It's a field of pure unconditional love. And anyone who's been in meditation or took plant medicine or just was there in compassion felt this field of unconditional love. The problem is that most of the time we don't feel it. And the reason that we don't feel it is that we are in our heads. And the reason that we are in our heads is because we live in a false matrix. And the false matrix is just really trying to control us. And it's trying to control us through divide and conquer. It's not divide and rule. Well, I heard about divide and conquer, but maybe that's the translation. I didn't see that. But yes, David Icke is the first one who the first one I heard it from. Maybe there's other people who talked about it. And he talked about the system. How does it work in the false matrix that it really creates such unpleasant feelings inside of us, make us fight with each other, really weakening us all the time and time over again. And that's a very simple methodology. Now everybody can think about themselves, their lives. I'll give maybe one example that most of us can relate to that is not the war, because we are in the middle of the war, and that's very traumatic for us to talk about it. So I'll try to take like another example. So we can take the COVID situation, it's the same thing. You know, the false matrix creates the problem, then scares the people about the problem. And of course, the fear is what makes us weaker because it's a very, very low frequency. We talked about this field. We're not taking love from the field. We're actually losing energy to the field because it's lower emotions. And remember, this is emotions where we make our choices from. And then they give us a solution, the same architects of the false matrix that created the problem, scared us about it, then gave us the solution, and the solution is weakening us. So we eat the food that is, you know, not really giving us, you know, the nutrition that we need, but actually creating more health problems because it's being in a factory and it's not really food, but it's just, you know, something that we buy in plastic in a store. And you know, medicine, we all know about the crisis in the US with the, you know, the medicines, and we understand. So all the systems in the false matrix, all the system, the health, the media, everything is just creating, we are there, you know, running, you know, like this mouse, trying to work harder, trying to really get stronger, but the system is weakening us. We are afraid of failure, of rejection. You know, we start being so fearful and we're comparing, you know, ourselves to other people, and we get weaker and weaker. And the more we push, the more we just waste energy. And of course, this all happens here on this lower level of duality of what's going on the physical level. So the situation, like we said, on the physical level is just a reflection of how conscious or unconscious we are as human beings, as like the most of us. I don't know if it's the most, like really we need like count of people, because I think actually, to my understanding, and actually that's very interesting information that came out in one of the other meetings here, that the more people have high consciousness, it has like, you know, bigger impact. So we don't need everybody to have high consciousness. Like one enlightened person can be like million times more than one person that is completely, you know, asleep. So what we need is to wake up from the level of duality, because on the level of duality, we are locked in this matrix, in this false matrix. And every time we perceive ourselves as one or the other, as Israeli or Palestine, as I did take the vaccine or I didn't take the vaccine, as whatever divisions we see it inside the countries, inside the US itself, inside Israel itself, inside all the societies, we see these divisions. And now there's like a big one, and we're paying attention to it. And we need to pay attention to our hearts and really move just move to a higher level of consciousness. That's the only way we'll get out of this vicious cycle. And yes, it's not a small ask to drop our identities, because for as long as we stay on that, you know, duality level, we're like really holding on to our identities, and that's all we've known, and that's really a big ask, but it's gonna be worth it. And we have to somehow do it together. Like that's the reason, you know, we're having this conversation. And for the spiritual psychology, really thank God for Ron and Mary that taught us all these amazing skills. So I'll just say that more or less to complete, you know, this short presentation, is we also have to understand, and we have to teach, you know, other people that, you know, this information is, like I said, we need to digest it. And there is like really, you know, a few stages that it needs to go through. And the first one is just to accept that we had been like really being weakened by, you know, whomever we trusted, whomever, you know, it's nobody's fault. It's just the way things are. And we need to accept it for now, not like really go against it, because then it's like, oh no, it's a conspiracy. No, the conspiracy is on the other side. Saying it's a conspiracy is just, again, like really making us go to sleep. We need to wake up. So we just accept to consider the information. Then whatever we agree, and everybody has their own integrity because it's a choice. So we digest. So we want to digest this information, and then we actually want to release it. We want to be free. We don't want to like really hold like everything in the digestion system. We want to just, release whatever doesn't serve us and be free of, whatever was locking us before. And then we get to like really, as humanity, get to birth ourselves into a new, brand new situation, because this situation is really not good and we deserve better and we can do much better. So I think, that's my message. Remember that our mission is to get out of the false matrix together. And every time you judge someone else, it's okay, because we're used to that, because we're addicted to low emotions. But it's okay. Now that we know that, we can take responsibility, do the work, and just come together in loving, because it's really ridiculous from a high point of view, from a just like high consciousness level basic, to think something about someone else when you don't know them and you only know like where they come from. Or, I mean, it's ridiculous to a point where like, we got to stop that. So let's do our best, let's do our best to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dalit.
I can give a short example about my mom. She saw the presentation that I did in Hebrew, and she works in this retail store. I mean, she's just a normal person who sees the propaganda on the TV of the Matrix, and these are most people are like that. They don't understand that it's a Matrix and it's propaganda. Everybody has their own media. I mean, it's very, very like people live in it. But anyways, she listened to the presentation, and somebody came to her store, and he was very upset. It was a couple, and she said he was raging about some pot or whatever that he bought in the store, and he wasn't happy about it. Anyway, he was raging, and she remembered that she saw the video, and I spoke about it, about the emotions, and his wife was talking to the manager to trying to figure out the whatever they wanted money back or whatever for the pot. And she said, I took him to the side and I told him, listen, you really have to relax, because these are really harming you. These are like negative emotions and they're taking your energy and you have to relax. And she said, and the guy was like going on her. She was the person, that he was raging on. So he got confused. He started crying. And my mom said he started crying. I mean, just like grown up in the middle of the store. And then he's telling her, listen, my friend's son is a hostage in Gaza, and I'm really stressed and I don't know what to do. What if he's dead? What if he's not going to come back? So he started sharing with her and crying. And she was like shocked at how much, just the fact that she said, I just remember that, I just wanted to tell him not to be upset. So anyways, you don't know what this information is, who you're going to help with the information or with kind, but we need to really together, like we'll find our opportunities. And I'm happy for her also that she was able to use it. And she was like really